Alright guys, well it's obvious that the problem is aftermarket versus OEM. They're not the same thickness. And when you start collectively stacking up the differences, it multiplies itself into a bigger problem. You might call it splitting hairs here, but you can stack enough split hairs to make a rope. That's what I'm dealing with here. I've mic'd these down to the 10th with this mic. I'm not going to do that just to go a little faster here. But here's an original steel. We're calling it 71.5 thousandths. Okay. Here's a Raybestos steel. 69.5 thousandths. So there's 4 thousandths of my error right there. Original friction. Let's see what we get here. 72.5, 73. Yeah, I'm going to call these 73. Here's a Ray. 69.5 on Ray. Pretty much 69.5. Okay. So there's more error. I'm looking at Ray's catalog right now. They're speccing these out at 70 thousandths. And they're speccing these out at 70 thousandths. Well, they're both pretty much a half thousandths under that. I understand tolerance in manufacturing, but stack it up. Alright, well, continuing on with this tirade. I've been searching high and low for a thicker backing plate here to make this aftermarket fall within specs. Can't seem to find one. I did stop into a dealer, and you guys don't even want to know. I think they wanted $65 for this little piece right here. Crazy talk. So about 15 or 17 years ago, when I went through my first and only transmission rebuild until now of the automatic variety, I went to a place locally that has basically a boneyard for transmissions, about 5,000 square feet of aisles and rows of shelves, floor to ceiling. They had about probably 15 fluorescent lights then, and it was still dimly lit. I went there today for a couple hours to rummage around, and I think they're down to about 4 fluorescent bulbs. Hunting for a steel like this and the other one that I needed. I'll get into that story later. Well, buried amongst everything in a bag, brand new, old stock, Raybestos frictions. Same part number on the bag as this one right here. Check this out. Make sure I'm zeroed out here, but 72.5, 72, 73. I'm actually calling these 73, even though there's a little deviation here. It may be a little bit more. That's actually 75 thousandths. 76. Same frictions. This is probably more in line with OEM than this one ever thought about being. Shame on you, Ray. So what I'm going to do is stick this pack in dry like this with the new steels, and we're going to see if we fall into specifications. And the dude charged me $5 for these. Alright, well, let's see where we are right here. I'm getting ready to hit it with 60 pounds. Looks like I'm at 73 thousandths. Try that one more time. Yep, 73. So I'm a thousandths below the low side, which I think that's acceptable and much better than 9 or so, 8 or so on the high side. So I'm going to call that good right there. Alright guys, well this was the other problem. I measured 45 thousandths with the feeler gauge clearance on this forward drum, and it should have been on the high side 41. So I was going to increase this 130 backing plate to a 141, and that would have put me well within the range. I ordered it, it came in, I mic'd it once it came in, and it was incorrectly packaged. It wasn't 141, it was 130, just the same one like I have. So they called the warehouse to look at the only other one they had, and it too was packaged wrong. And I cannot seem to find one of these either. So I set it up like this to make sure that my feeler gauge was correct. And I'm going to do my best to get in here and pull up on this. And I'm measuring actually 44.5. So I was pretty darn close to the feeler gauge measurement. So I'm not that far over 41, and my problem is I don't know if it's acceptable or not. I'm trying to do this by the book and get everything within range, but what do you do? I don't know. I may just have to run with it. Alright guys, well I guess I got lucky. The warehouse went through the rest of their inventory of other sizes, and lo and behold, they found 3 141s. They contacted me yesterday, and it showed up today. I had calculated 34 thousandths that I was going to end up with, and that's exactly where I'm at. Alright, the number 2 one-way clutch goes in next. These dots face upwards. This is the anti-rattle clip it's on just like so. It's keyed, so it can really only go in one spot. I'm not real sure where I'm at because I can't see too well. There we go. Alright, so that dropped right in there. And then we've got a snap ring we've got to get in here as well. So I will try to get this in here as I am. Piece of cake. I'm going to try to turn it to get the gap right in here so it holds on both of those. Double check. Looking good. This portion of the race here goes in shoulder first. This one will go into the next component shoulder up. That's kind of where we're at right now. The underdrive clutch hub goes in next. I've put some trans gel up in there to hold that bearing. It should just drop in here. I'll have to turn it counterclockwise so it can find its way to the bottom. And that should be it right there. No, it wasn't down. There it went. Okay. Now in this position, the drum itself should turn counterclockwise, but not clockwise. That's just a double checking measure to make sure that it's in there correctly. Alright, I need to get the parking pawl assembly partially installed. Just kind of slide it in where it goes. And then this pin right here will go down, and that spring will eventually get up in that little slot right there. I need to now make sure it's out of the way and then drop in the underplanetary assembly. Hopefully it won't be too big of a struggle to get everything to mesh together. There it went. Okay. Now I can complete this portion. Make sure that that spring is up where it's supposed to be, right there. This pin will go in with the notch or slot facing up. Try to get this lined up. I can't see too well from where I'm at. There we go. And then this bracket with this notch will slide under there, and this side will hold that pin in. Keep it from coming out. Looking good. Then we'll get the bolt installed here. This actually wants 7 foot-pounds, so 84 inch-pounds is what I'm going to put on this. There we go. Alright guys, well I've taken my measurements to determine the end play when everything is put together. I am outside of specifications, I'll get to that, but the way they show to do this is really convoluted. Take a measurement from the top of this gear to the case, that's dimension C, and then take a measurement from here all the way down into the bottom of this bore, and then from here down to the bottom of the bore, subtract those two, and then deduct that 129 thousandths here plus this from the other dimension and all that jazz. The easiest way to do this is simply this. Take a measurement from here down to here. Take a measurement from here to the bearing race right here, which is actually the part that is bearing on all of this. Add 129 to one of them and whatever the thickness this is to another one, and then subtract it from the first one, and you're done. It turns out I'm outside of spec, so I've got this thrust washer on order. It's not going to be here for a few more days, which is a bummer. So I do see that there's other things I can do to keep the project moving. So I'm going to be bouncing around a little bit, but we're going to continue on and get this thing completed. I've got a new lube seal I need to get down in this bore. It is split. I'm going to try to get in here with this pick and see if I can start just rolling it out with my fingers. It's kind of hard to get down in here. There we go. Let's try to get this one on. Just try to push it right over the top. Just split it open just enough to get it on there. There we go. Alright, well I'm moving on, doing as much as I can do. This race goes in, shoulder down, and then the bearing for that will sit right here. And this is my old unit here, where this was actually turned out that this bore was worn out for some particular reason. I thought this bearing was broken here, this bushing, but they're evidently made split like that. So I've got a new unit here. Everything is lubricated. It will go in. And then we've got this bearing that will go in there. Shoulder goes down. Sits just like that. Now this unit will go on. Things are getting a little surface rust on them now through my handling, and they've just been out for a while. There's that. We've got another bearing that goes in. The race that comes up around the corner goes down first, and then we get the oil pump. There are 7 bolts that go in here, and I believe they are torqued down to 16 foot-pounds. I said 11, I think 7. Run these down to the surface as quick as I can. Fingers are slick. Two more. Should use my impact gun. Alright, 15 foot-pounds. 16 foot-pounds. Guess I didn't run that one down all the way. Thought I did. Here it comes. Just kind of going around the perimeter. And there we go. Alright, I believe this is the last of the measurements I need to take. The end play on this shaft is supposed to be 10 6/10 to 41 7/10. So I'm at 0. Let's see what we've got. I've got 15 thousandths. So we are actually looking good right there. That's good. There is no adjustment for this to take up any end play. You've either got worn parts or you have a misalignment in some manner. Alright, well, I'm installing the manual detent spring and the parking pawl guide, for lack of a better term. This is going to sit on just like this. I'm just going to get this down in here and get it started loosely with this particular bolt. It's kind of tight, and I'm sure I don't have a good angle to show this, but I'm doing the best I can. Okay, so I've got that started. I'm just going to run it up a little ways here. Something like that. And then this is going to sit on and fork over this right here. Just like so. This particular silver bolt will go right in here. Wiggle things around a bit. See if I can at least get it started and everything lined up. And I did. Okay. And then these two bolts will go right down in these holes. Wiggle things around. Try to run them in as well. Okay. Just taking everything to the surface. I should have a speed wrench for this stuff. Takes a little bit to do it by hand. Okay, that's looking good. Run this one down. The small bolt is going to get 9 foot-pounds or 108 inch-pounds, so I'll go ahead and tighten this one up. There we go. And the large ones are getting 15 foot-pounds. So I'll bring these down. Getting everything close here. There's tension on this, so it takes, when you think you've got it with your fingers, you've got a little ways to go. So here we go. There's that one. That one, and then the final one. And there it is. Check the action here. And then that's park. Looking good. Alright, well, I'm installing the internal harness right now, just coming up through this hole. Gonna get the connectors fitted in here carefully. I've put a little bit of trans gel on the new O-ring to help me seat it. It's coming in. There we go. Try to get this started in there. I'm doing it from the bottom. You can't tell what I'm doing, but there we go. And then the bolt will come up and be installed here and get torqued down to 48 inch-pounds. There we go. And that's that. Alright, well, I'm going to install the accumulator pistons. I put some ATF down in the bore, new O-rings, a little trans gel. This one gets a red spring. Just drop it down in there, like so. And then this next one, it's got an internal spring and it gets a white spring. Try to get it pushed down in there. There it goes. Stick that there. And then the last one has two springs. External blue, internal green. Just go ahead and drop those right there. And then this piston goes in. A little twist, and there we go. This one will get pushed down, I guess, when I put the valve body back on. Alright, continuing on, I've got this anti-drain back valve that I'm installing. It actually goes down in this hole right here. Just like that. And then I've got a case seal that's been lubricated with some trans gel. It goes right here. I've got this lubricated that goes down in this hole. Try to get that in there. And then we've got a seal that goes right here. Alright, well, the valve body's going on. I've got the wires out of the way. I need to make sure that the manual shift lever right here fits down in this for starters. So I'll try to do that. That looks good. There's a lot of different size bolts in here. We've got some 25s, so I'll start with those. It looks like I'm going here. Just trying to get things started. It's going to take me a while to do this. I get to 25. And I've got a 25 that looks like it's right here. And I've got one more in my hand. Where does it go? Oh, right here. Okay. And now we've got a series of 41s. Looks like here. Nope. Oh, I believe it is, but this isn't down yet. That piston was holding me up. Okay. That's looking good. I've got one that goes here. Right here. Another one here. lame. I'm just trying to look here on this diagram and there are lines going all over the place, so I hope I get these right. Got one that goes here. Looks like here. I've got two more I'm trying to find. Maybe I'll go to the longer ones. Alright, so we got a C that goes here, which happens to be 45 millimeters. I've got two way over here. One goes right here, and one goes right here. That leaves me with this one right here. And this one right here. Alright, well, I've taken all the bolts down to the surface. They're all getting 8 foot-pounds or 96 inch-pounds. I'm going to do my best to go through this, but it's kind of hard to see what is what. I will be having to go through these again, I'm sure. I'm trying to do it quickly. But it's hard to see because I've got a lot of fasteners in here I've already done. And then we've got a series up here coming across the top. Just about there, I believe. I think that's it. Yeah, I believe that's it. I will, of course, double check these, but make sure this manual shift lever works just fine. Looking good. Alright, well, I'm going to start working this harness around here, getting my connections made, just trying to feel how things came out. That looks good right there. I've double checked all the torque settings that I had going on the last one. Everything's looking good. Hook up under here. This one's going to go just like that. This one goes just like that. Okay. And we're going to loop under this one. And the temperature sensor is going to get wiggled and pushed down in like so. This is the bracket that holds that. I've got to try to fish this in from the side. Looks good. This will get tightened up and torqued down to 58 inch-pounds. I don't have the right size socket, but 58 inch-pounds is what this is going to get. Alright, well, I'm installing the filter right now, so I'll put this on here and give it a little wiggle to make sure it's seated. Got 3 bolts holding this down. Just get them started loosely here. And these will get torqued down to 8 foot-pounds or 96 inch-pounds. This one back here is a little stiff on me, so I'll bring it around. There we go. And the last one. And that's that. Alright guys, well, we're getting ready to put the oil pan on this. I've got my nephew in here helping me tonight.
Hey guys.
Friday night, man time hanging out. Everything's been clean. Lay the gasket down there. We're going to go ahead and try to shoot this in real time. Get these lined up a bit. All of the bolts have been coated with a blue Loctite. So let's go ahead and start dropping these in here and getting them finger tight down to the surface. I'm not using any gasket sealer. I personally, most of the time, let the gaskets do the job they're supposed to do, which is seal. So we'll get these in here and get them ran down to the surface, and we will come back and torque them to specifications. Alright, all the bolts have been taken down to the surface. These are going to get torqued down to 69 inch-pounds. I'm just going to work kind of back and forth on these. I'll pull this one down here. There we go. And just kind of jump across and crisscross things and get them all tightened down. It's going to take me a minute to do this, but that's what we're doing. Alright, the pan's been torqued down to specs. New crush washer on the plug bolt. This is actually calling for 13 foot-pounds, so 156 inch-pounds. And this will be right where it needs to be. Alright guys, we've got 2 new lube seals installed in the case here. Lubricated the bearing on the differential. We're getting ready to drop it in. I'm going to go ahead and let my nephew take care of this portion. Go ahead, man. Easy enough. Alright guys, well, I ordered the thicker bearing race to go in here, and this is what I received. This clearly is not going to work. Even though I was looking through the parts online, they brought in a bearing race that was for a different transmission on their website, so this is not what I need. I've got no choice but to run with what I've got. I'll lubricate the bearing, but this sits just like so. Alright, everything is lubed. It's going together. We're almost finished. I've got some trans gel around this rubber gasket there. Seals are in place. Last check. One shot. Everything's looking good. See if I can drop this on here. That's that. Got a bunch of bolts to go in here. 5 of these long bolts. Let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These will all get some Loctite put on those. They'll all drop down in here. These get torqued to 16 foot-pounds, and all the rest get 22. Those are all the long bolts, and then all the short bolts, which also get 22, go around the perimeter here. So I will get these ran down, put the Loctite on those 5, and get these torqued down. Alright, I've got a couple sensors to put in now. This one I marked as coming from the top. Put some Transgel on the O-ring. Get this popped in there. And the second one goes right here. Same drill. Get some bolts in here. These get torqued down to 8 foot-pounds, so 96 inch-pounds. There's that one. There we go. I've got the dipstick, new O-ring. Bolts to right here. Go ahead and get this slid down in there. There that went. There's not any specification on this one, so I'll just tighten it up. It's a little smaller than the other one in terms of the bolt, so that 96 is a little too tight, I'm sure. So I'll just do it the old-fashioned way and say, it feels good right there. This will get put on there. Alright, I need to get this switch installed, and they say to get it in a position where this thing is pointing to a mark here. Well, the mark's not there, but vertical. So I need to get the transmission in neutral. So there's first, second, drive, neutral. Go ahead and get this on here. Like that. And I will just tighten it up right where it sits. And that should be in the correct position. These get 48 inch-pounds. There we go. Let's see. This nut will go on here. Let's get 61 inch-pounds. So I'll get it tightened up. Alright, I need to get these tabs bent around here. Secure that nut. One more. Alright, get this shifting arm on here. Believe that went. Looks like it. This is the last nut, guys. The last nut. And it too gets 61 inch-pounds. That's it. Alright, well here's a quick tip if you're using gasket makers. Rather than try to clean up your squeeze out and making a big mess, if you let it cure out for an hour or so, you can usually just come in and just peel it right off like that. So I will continue on and get it cleaned up. Alright guys, well as far as the assembly goes, this is the only thing I'm going to show. We don't have a transmission jack anymore, so this is how we got it out. Once I got it ready to come out from the bottom, with the exception of a couple bolts on the top, I lowered the vehicle down and blocked it up on this stand here with just miscellaneous bits of wood. And then I moved the transmission back about a ½ inch and just raised the vehicle up. And then I took it and set it back up. Everything here has been marked on the floor as well as the wood. So when I got it back on here, I was able to get it exactly the way it came off. So now it's just a matter of me lowering the car down on it carefully, pushing it back up, and there we go. Well, alright guys, I got it in there, waiting to make my turn onto the highway here. I at least made it this far, right? Everything seems to be working just fine. I think this is a 60-mile-an-hour road, so here we go. Everything shifts fine. Try not to make anybody sick. Give it a little bit. And that's about 65 right there. I think it took me about five hours or so to get it back in. It was actually a lot easier knowing where everything was and how all that jazz worked. I'll try to slow down here and romp on it a little bit. My wife doesn't drive like this, but I do sometimes. Let's see, there's 40. That's on the floor. Coming up to 6,000 RPMs. And there's a smooth shift up to 80. Better cool my jets here. Anyway, it was a lot of work. It was worth it. I think it cost me between $1,000 and $1,100 in parts, which, taking into consideration the scope of work, that was very, very inexpensive there to get this thing back on the road. I hope you guys liked the video. Thanks for watching, and good luck.